had no mind out demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today.
I gotta say, wow, not that guy, but incredible. We are at episode number 501, my friends. And I want to thank all of you for being on this journey. What an incredible journey it's been the past 3 years. Just for all of us to help me to face my fear of speaking on live video. I still joke around on stage. Yes, God gave me a speech handicap, but also made me this handsome. So you all have supported me through that journey. And now we are inspiring millions of people to see that anybody with an invisible disability actually has a hidden superpower. And so that leads me into my next amazing guest. And I got to say, like, what a great way to start off the first episode of the new year, 2026. Is my new best friend, Christian Hansen. Now, he has gone behind the scenes in some of the greatest organizations in the world to find the reasons why some people get chosen and why others don't. As the two-time #1 best-selling and LinkedIn top 10 ranked author of The Influence Mindset, say that again, The Influence Mindset series, Christian helps teams and organizations who want increase in their earning potential by standing out from the crowd and influencing people to choose them. With degrees from Brigham Young University and the London School of Economics, he's helped thousands of individuals position and sell themselves. A fan of international communication, history, and choral music, he currently lives in Utah with his wife. So congratulations to you, sir, and I can't wait to meet you even more, because please welcome my new best friend, the super talented, super handsome, the guy that moved, the guy that walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, the one and only Christian Hansen. Hey, Christian, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
I mean, what a great introduction. However, I unfortunately didn't walk in the snow to school. From Los Angeles originally. And even though it is cold, we don't get a lot of snow there.
Oh, it's all right. But if you want to feel like you're in the snow, click the link down below so that you can leave comments on the live. So let's just dive right in. Christian, first of all, I mean, pretty cool concept. The fact that we at work sometimes, feel like we're chosen, sometimes we're not, but your brain is wired a certain way. So what is it that the brain is wired to pay attention to?
We got to understand that our brains have been designed and evolved over millions upon millions of years to pay attention to things that ensure our survival. And I've broken it down into 5 things that are very similar to Maslow's hierarchy, but essentially our brains are wired to pay attention to things that ensure our security, our access to resources, our novelty, belonging in groups, and status. Now, here's why this matters. If my brain's wired to pay attention to those things, then that means that your brain is wired to pay attention to those things too. However, when I enter sales or leadership situations where I'm trying to influence people to choose me, oftentimes my brain takes center stage in trying to talk and do things that make me feel great, but it comes at the expense of what you are wanting to pay attention to. So how can I shift that? And how can I change my thinking so that I'm communicating and putting my insecure needs to the side and focusing on you? And that's what I work and train and teach teams and organizations on how to do.
I love that. I love that. So now this is something that's not something that's commonly taught growing up in elementary school or picked up at the average household. So like, how did you learn these principles of influence?
It's funny. I actually got my start in higher education admissions of all places. And so as I was reading thousands and thousands of applications, I realized that I had a front row seat at learning what makes people stand out. And over time, I started to notice patterns and habits that master communicators were using, whether they knew it or not. And as my career progressed, and not just running undergraduate admissions, but graduate MBA level admissions and
Yeah.
corporate level internship programs for multinational companies, even
Yeah.
in ultra high net worth finance, these same things kept coming up again and again. And I was wondering why they worked. And so I did some research into it. And again, as I mentioned, right, our brains are predisposed to pay attention to certain things. And if we simply learn to shift our language to speak to what people are already ready to pay attention to, we're going to stand out. And so I wrote my first book about it. It's called The Influence Mindset, The Art and Science of Getting People to Choose You. And it was a bestseller, and LinkedIn put it in their top 10 list for books on marketing, which is what I love doing. I love walking alongside companies and teams and individuals and helping them stand out and get chosen by simply changing the way they communicate so that they're more likely to be the ones that are seen as the obvious choice.
I love that. I love that. Now, you know, what is it that someone can do? So you write about that in your book. So what can they do to increase their influence? And you just said about, you know, be selected as the obvious choice, not just like one of the top choices, but, you know, one of the top three, one of the top five. No, say, we know that company or that person, that is the best fit. How can someone secure that spot for themselves?
Absolutely. So in my most recent book, which is The Influence Mindset for Sales Acceleration, I talk about the 7 EQ brain hacks that you can use to, again, change people's perceptions about you. And one of those ways is by shifting your language from knowledge and experience into insight and wisdom. Now, what do I mean by that? In 2013, a really interesting study came out where they researched, they interviewed hundreds and thousands of people, and they determined that one of the most effective ways to be seen as a valuable person is by be seen as a strategic thinker. In fact, here's what the study said. Being perceived as a strategic thinker was twice as important as having strong communication skills, and almost 50 times more effective than being highly skilled. Now, let me ask you this. How much of our language is about how much I'm skilled and how much I know and how much I've done, right? We often do that. But if we can shift our language up from knowledge and experience into insight and wisdom, we have just increased our perceived value by nearly a factor of 50. So let me give you an example.
Ooh, I love that.
Instead of saying things like, oh, well, I've done this many times, or I can do that, or no problem. What if we shifted into this? When you've done this many times, or when you've worked with this many companies, one of the things you begin to notice is, right? So do you see that shift in language from I've done this to, well, one of the things you begin to notice is, or one of the things that most teams typically overlook, or one of the hidden pitfalls that completely undermines people's attempts at this thing is, in this subtle way, I have shifted my language into the realm of insight and wisdom. And thus, when I'm communicating with people, they perceive my value as being greater. So that's just one simple tool of how you can change your language to influence how people perceive your value.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you know what? I'm going to be getting your book, and I can't wait to try it out, because I always I have my own coaching practice, and I help people with mind shift, I say. Because actually we're rebranding this year from Victory Mindset to Victory Mind Shift Academy, because I always say that people are in a white belt mindset, stuck in cement, and you want to help elevate themselves to a black belt mind shift. But regardless, the idea of we're shifting from what you call knowledge and experience into insight and wisdom. Really curious how that. Where did that come from? I mean, I know you've taken training in it, you've educated, but that experience of going through all those admissions applications. So how did you start seeing this trend?
I remember the day, where I was literally sitting in my office, right? And I was part of a meeting that day where we were all admissions officers. We're tired. We're underpaid and everything. We all have our Grinch's hearts are very, very small. And then, and we're denying students left and right. And all of a sudden, this one application came up where the grades and the GPA, right, and the ACT score wasn't anything remarkable, but it was simply something in how the student presented themselves, right? And the things
Yes.
they wrote about. And I watched as everyone in the room turned from a scowl to a smile. And we said, wow, this is the kind of student that we want to have at our institution. And every single one of my colleagues gave a thumbs up, and we admitted the student, right? And I remember taking that student's file to my office and going, what did this student just do to influence us to choose them, right? And over years, again, as I mentioned, I noticed these patterns and habits. And so I started teaching them to others. So then later, as I'm running an MBA program, one of my very good friends called me up, and he said, I just found out that I have muscular dystrophy, and I'm unable to continue in my career as a chiropractor. He worked very hard to become a chiropractor. And so I said, well, I think an MBA could be a great fit for helping you transition out. But he didn't know how to present himself. So I said this, let's do this experiment. Let's teach you these principles of what I've seen about how to influence and persuade people. And then let's go on radio silence. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to have any influence on your application. And you go through the application process. And so sure enough, we worked with the ideas. And then 6 weeks later, I'm sitting in an admissions committee meeting with some of the brightest people I've ever known as they're going over and reviewing applications. And my friend's application came up. And I, again, didn't say anything because I wasn't in the interview or anything like that. And I watched as my colleagues went to bat for the student and said, I never imagined this chiropractor would be able to communicate on this level. I never imagined that they'd be able to present themselves this well. I have no fear and no worry that they're going to be able to really stand out and sell themselves and succeed in the job search. And again, I watched as for the second time, a whole room of people, right, gave thumbs up to someone that I had helped work through this process. And that's when I realized, boy, I think there's some lightning in a bottle here. How can I help more people learn how to sell themselves better?
Oh, it's beautifully well said. Thank you so much for that, Christian. And Christian, you know what? Like, you know, what an incredible way to start showing people that it's not only about what you know, it's about how you present what you know that makes you engage with that audience. That, you know, there's so many people out there, managers, C-suite executives that are in need of this understanding of like, what is it that, how am I presenting myself? How do I come across? How do I connect with people? And they're not doing it right. And that's something that we can all help them with. And so, by the way, folks, aren't you happy that he's here? Give us some thumbs up, give us some hearts so that we know that you're getting the impact out there. As we always say, and if you want to help the channel too, make sure you give us some likes and some subscribes, because we want to keep bringing you experts like him every single time. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And Christian here also has something he'd like to share with you. So take a look at his gift link down below. What are they going to get, Christian, when they click your link?
Well, again, this past year, I launched my second book, which is really digging into the tactics and the mindset shift of how you can change your communication style to influence people to perceive you as more valuable. And in it, again, I talk about the 7 EQ brain hacks that you can use every single day to up-level your communication skills. And so in this freebie here, you can access the first several chapters absolutely for free, so that you can begin thinking and changing your mindset and your shifts. Because remember, people don't choose you. They choose their perception of you. And your words and behaviors are the materials that people use to create their perception. So are your words and behaviors getting the results that you want, or can you shift and make an up level and upgrade how you do that? And that's the whole point of the book, is to help you stand out and get chosen.
I love that you just said that word perception. And I'm going to come back to that on the 60-second mind shift. That's going to be the word of the day. So Christian, thank you so much for that. So that's been beautiful. Let's move on to our next segment. And this is what I call the speed round, because I always say people join a person, not a business. Let's get to know you more as a person. Just tell us a little bit more about, where'd you grow up and how'd you grow up?
As I mentioned, I'm from Los Angeles originally. And it's funny because I started as a professional guacamole maker. My family runs a Mexican restaurant in LA called Los Gringos Locos, because obviously running a Mexican restaurant is what you do if your last name is Hansen. So I grew up doing that and working my family's restaurant, and I learned so many lessons about how do you interact, how do you serve people, how do you connect with people quickly. And that was one of the great training grounds, learning how to make guacamole in front of people with a guacamole cart. I will forever be grateful for that opportunity.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great story. What about growing up then in that kind of environment? Was there anything that helped inspire and shape the way that you think today? Like, was it a movie or a book or a person?
Obviously, I grew up in the Latter-day Saint faith tradition. That was
Yeah.
really meaningful for me. I had the opportunity to serve as a missionary in South Korea for a number of
Oh,
years.
beautiful.
And so just so many lessons that I gained from living internationally, and especially coming to love and appreciate the Korean people and the Korean language. And that just having a completely different worldview was so valuable. That opened up opportunities for me to work much more internationally. As I mentioned, I would work for multinational companies. So I worked in Korea for LG Electronics, and I worked for them in China as well, running internship programs. And I also lived in the UK and sub-Saharan Africa for a while as well. So just opened up so many opportunities. And the one thing you can always make in any of these situations is guacamole. So, and I guess my number one tip for how people can make guacamole is make sure you chill the avocados. If the avocados are chilled, that just helps the guacamole stay that much more fresh.
No way. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. By the way, like, I know a bit of Korean. Okay. 안녕하세요.
안녕하십니까?
Okay. Okay. 고맙습니다.
고맙습니다. 만나서 반갑습니다.
Yeah. So here's the fun part. Now that's so cool that you went to South Korea for really for spreading joy and love around the world. What about what is there a favorite book that has helped inspire you, or a quote?
I actually have I want to make sure I surround myself with, the best ideas as I possibly could.
Yes.
And so I turned my mouse pad into a collection of my most favorite quotes, because it's just where I can constantly look for inspiration. And one of the most important quotes I've ever heard is from a gentleman called Brian Buffini.
Okay.
He's a real estate coach and runs a fantastic coaching company based out of San Diego. And he has said this. It says, if you just meet someone's service need, you've created a transaction. But if you meet someone's emotional need, you've just created an advocate. And so that has always been a goal for me. When I'm interacting with people, how can I figure out how to make an emotional and to solve an emotional need that they have in some way?
Yeah.
If I can create that connection, then I've just helped them, be an advocate for what I do. But more importantly, I've made a meaningful difference in their lives.
I love that. And I remember after 25 years in cancer research and big pharma, going through multiple companies and just seeing the same sort of attitudes and the same kind of temperaments in like a lot of the managers, I always wanted to say, hey, listen, these soft skills, these emotional skills, these EQ skills. I mean, there's a lot of people with high IQs, but they don't have the EQ and the RQ to match it. And I was always the one that was the glue that held the lab together, because I was the one that could talk to everybody from operations and shipping and marketing and the VPs. And they said, how does Raja know everybody? I don't know. That's one of my, I never realized that was actually a superpower. I just thought I remember, because my mom, when she came to America, we're all first generation immigrants. I was born in India and we came here when I was young. And so watching my mom interact with people, the way she greeted people with her heart first, not based on anybody's title or money or experience or what kind of car they drove or how big their house was. She just basically said, Raja, everybody deserves love. And she treated everybody like that. And so that's what I did when I went into these labs full of PhD, super smart scientists, postdocs. And yet I was the one that everybody started turning to when there were problems, when they wanted to say, hey, can you get a hold of somebody else? Can you connect me with somebody else or somebody's a department? I became the go-to guy. Wow. And I never realized and understood that soft skill of being able to understand that emotional need, that connection, was what was helping. And maybe that's another reason why this show grew so fast too, is that I didn't realize that was something that was also a hidden superpower that I had. So I'm glad you shared that. Thank you so much. Now we're almost at time here, but we got to shift to our next segment. So, what's a fun question I always like to ask my guests? That what is your favorite kind of food? You can't say avocado.
I mean, gosh, growing up in a Mexican restaurant, tacos are both my love language and my spirit animal. So, a good taco, and there's a couple places that are just my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
There's a chain out west. That's a couple in Vegas, a couple in LA, but it started in Tijuana called Tacos El Gordo, and they're just the absolute best tacos. And then, but also birria tacos; those are pretty good too.
Oh, I like it. Okay, tacos birria. Okay, so hold it. So hang on to the thought. Hello. Hola, señor. Tacos El Gordo. Yeah. Necesito like mucho más. En el room verde. Yeah. So es una VIP. Estoy ahora. Okay. So totally real. Phone call after West. So you're going to get set up with your own palette of tacos and everything else there set up. So just please save me some, because like all my guests like eat all the food. Like they just get so hungry during the show because this is fast period of fun. So before I shift over to the next segment, what is one thing that you want people to recall about you?
I think something that's really important to me, that whenever I'm trying to interact with somebody, I hope that I come across more as interested rather than just being interesting.
Yeah.
And, that's what's important. So often we want to feel that we are remarkable, but I have found that the path to remarkability really lies in relatability. And the people who can master and become more relatable are the ones who eventually achieve and do and become remarkable. And so if I can first become relatable and first help people understand that I'm truly and sincerely interested in them and I'm fascinated with people and I'm wanting to find what makes them special and what's their unique story, hopefully that's what people remember about me.
I love it. Thank you so much. You're going to ring the victory bell for that again. So there's this link down below. Make sure you click it. Make sure you grab that, because first few chapters of his book, I'm going to buy it anyway, and hopefully he'll sign it for me. But you can grab it on Amazon and grab it and make sure that you start to learn how you can start to connect more with people and start being the influencer in your own life that you need to be. So thank you so much, Christian. And please save me a couple tacos, will you? So listen, while he's doing that, I got to ask everybody, we're always trying to make waves in our life, trying to change things, trying to improve things, but sometimes we need to do something else. We got to make a big splash. When you throw a rock into a lake, what happens? No, there's a splash. You make an impact, and then you get waves. And then you don't know where those waves are going. Those waves are going past around the reeds, and you don't know where that impact is. So all of you out there, when you're on stage, you don't know where your impact is going to end. It's never going to end. All right, folks. So today's word of the day is perception. So Christian mentioned that earlier, and I loved that, because that's one of those things I have seen over the years. There are many, many, many smart people who don't get ahead because people don't perceive them as leaders. Why is that? And also, sometimes there are people that may not be as qualified, and somehow they get ahead. What is it that's causing them to break from the pack and get seen, become more visible, become the perceived leader, that perceived value that it is that people need? Well, sometimes think about it this way. Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, talked about how you have 0% control over what happens to you, but you have 100% control over your perception of what happens to you. Now, Christian, I love that he talks about that idea of perception. What is it that you're connecting with them, and are you solving the emotional problem for them? Because then he said that when you solve a task, you made a friend, but if you solve their emotional need, you made an advocate for life. And so I want to tie that back into something else I heard years ago, which is, I believe it was Roosevelt that said that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And it's such a true thing. And I remember the first time I heard this way more than 20 years ago, thinking, really, does it matter? No. I'm a straight A student. I'm a high achiever. That's more important. And over time, you start realizing, you know what? No, he was right. People need to know that you care, that there's emotional connect with you first, and then they'll give you the world. Because it's not enough to be the smartest person in the room. You got to connect with the people in the room first in order for that to be useful, right? So please take that back to your managers, to your employees. And if you're a team leader, if you're a people leader, think about how are you uplifting the people by emotionally connecting with them on your teams. Because as I say, I find that hidden ROI of invisible disabilities, which are actually hidden superpowers that increase your team's productivity and profitability. Because if I had not realized and faced my fear of speaking on lives, I would not have inspired millions of people. The YouTube channel exploded. We got, I got tens of thousands of views on my TED Talk from last year. It is now your opportunity to go out there and connect with people in an emotional way. And believe me, that is the soft skill that it really is a superpower. So let's bring Christian back. And so Christian, how was all the food? Did you save me any?
Oh man, I got a couple here, but it was a battle. It was a battle.
I'll have to order some more. No worries. Hey, so what was your biggest takeaway from that 60-second mind shift, and what would you add to it, friend?
I think perception really is it, but part of perception is also awareness. I tell people, look, I want to change your behavior, but I can't. I can't change people's behavior, but I can help change your awareness. And the awareness that you have about how you're perceived is one of the secret weapons that you can develop as you're trying to up-level yourself in terms of leadership and also in terms of your ability to sell and influence others. And so be always aware of the awareness that you're bringing to the table of how people perceive you, and to be curious about that. And if you can do that, you're going to definitely be able to influence people more effectively. So awareness, I think, is a precursor to being able to shape perception.
I love that. Thank you so much, Christian. You've been an amazing guest and just great pearls of wisdom here. And what a great kickoff for our second half of the millennium in terms of our next 500 interviews. So thank you so much for being part of this amazing journey with us. There is his gift link. Another time, make sure you click it. If you haven't done it yet, what are you waiting for? Make sure you grab it. And then also as a thank you for everybody here, as you all know, on Tuesday nights we have our weekly Speaker Confidence Mastermind. Make sure you grab that link and join us on Tuesdays. As of the new year, it's totally free. There is a option to make it a donation to the National Stuttering Association passion project of mine. We are trying to raise money for them to make sure that we educate people that everybody's invisible disability is actually that superpower. So that's all it is. And thank you so much, my friend. And I'm going to leave you with one more question. If somebody gave you a blank check with unlimited resources, what is your grand vision to change the world?
I think I really like Andrew Carnegie's approach to this, where he was able to create libraries that incentivize people to read more and increase access to reading. I work a lot with teenagers, and I work a lot with helping students kind of define and figure out who they are. And with the onslaught of social media and so many ways of tech, I think, robbing attention from young people, I think there's opportunities that we can have to put actual physical books in young people's hands and help them learn the ability to focus and the ability to just find deeper wisdom that are in so many books out there. I think that's really important. We didn't talk about this earlier, but actually one of the things I do with my son as of last year, starting in January, I give him a personal development book, and I started him with different ones. Each month he has to read one, and at the end of the month he has to give me a 1 or 2 page summary of it. What did he learn from it? And I pay him $20. And that's not going to change my life. It's not going to change his life. But the knowledge he gleans from this young of an age, wow! I wish someone had done that for me at this age. You know, so he started when he was 15. He just turned 16 last month. So now we get into driving age. So that's going to be more fun. But we are on the right track. Thank you so much, Christian. You've been an amazing guest. I'm your host, Coach Raja, episode 501. Thank you, everybody, on the Unbox Me Today show. And let's just keep going forward. Please go out there
and help others, uplift others. Yes, we're on a mission to make 1 billion mind shifts, but it all starts with you right here, because you can do that. Because if you can create your own mind shift, you change the world. I'm Coach here. As always, don't fake it till you make it. Believe it and become it. And I'll see everybody on the next show. Bye-bye. All right. Great job, Christian. So 3 quick questions and we're out of here. Just why did you want to be on my show today? I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there. Why me?
Well, you and I were introduced to each other coming out from the Real Mojo podcast. And so, and I just thought there's a lot of synergies, definitely in terms of the energy and the intention that you're bringing. And so I was really impressed. This is really impressive in all the systems that you developed here. And, fully on board with the mission and the vision that you're trying to achieve.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. And next question, like what was your biggest takeaway from the show today?
My biggest takeaway from the show was noticing, I think, the pacing that you have and in breaking down a process, because so often I think interviews and conversations, it's good to go deep, right? And to have those moments where you can really dig in, but to have a framework that's moving from topic to topic, that's really well structured. I'm really impressed in how you've structured that.
Oh, thank you so much. And even though it's structured, it feels very conversational, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's the whole point. It's like it keeps it fun and free flowing. And so, last question, totally unbiased. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you recommend me to somebody else's stage?
Oh, definitely. Because I think, obviously, with your music background, I can appreciate that, and the energy that you bring to the room. It's infectious, would be the word I would use. So, and that's exactly the kind of energy that's really important for people to have for any event.
Oh, I love that. All right. Hear that, folks? I'm infectious. You're welcome. All right. See everybody. The podcast crew knows what to do, and we are out of here.